Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of the MCR Mac and Me. My name's TJ. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're watching us on Rumble, thank you very much. In this segment, I'd like to discuss the results of the election that took place in Virginia last year, and it's having all sorts of repercussions. For those who may have forgotten, the Republican Winsome Earl Sears lost to the Democrat Abigail Spanberger. By the way, this was the same election where the Virginia now the current what the now current state of Virginia Attorney General, if you recall, Mac, was sending out texts some time ago saying how he wanted his opponent's family and children to die.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's reminiscent of Beto O'Rourke's fantasy of running over children
so
with his car. Yeah.
so this is the election we're talking about in the state that we're talking
Well,
about.
my conclusion is you got more than their fair share of scumbags living in that state.
Well, the Democrats are clearly in control of that state. They're raising taxes, giving themselves raises. They're moving forward on radical abortion legislation, and they're also moving forward with gun uh, on the gun issue. They're looking to outlaw the evil and wicked assault weapons ban, and
Yeah, that brings a question to my mind. I want to throw out to you and get your idea. How many damn times does the Supreme Court have to rule on this same case?
well, I kind of was thinking that. Here
I
we
mean, do they have
have,
to rule on it 50 times?
you know, when I heard about it, I thought this was a done issue. I know what you're saying because I had the similar thought. Uh, well, the reason in as I reviewed all that nonsense, now we come to the grand finale here. They want to redraw their congressional districts. You know, and I'll tell you what's driving this is the Democrats so badly want to take back control of the House, this fall's election. History says they've got a very good chance of doing this. California redrew theirs, Texas redrew theirs, and I was like,
And
okay,
the Supreme Court upheld both.
yeah. Well, and
So this is going to go through as well, as long as you're not doing it
yeah.
based on race or some other irrelevant
Well, that's
guideline.
already been discussed. Yeah, they're going to be able to do this and get away with it. So,
Yeah,
you know, it is
it's
what
been
it
going
is,
on forever. Yeah,
as I like to say. But when you look at the political demographics of the state of Virginia to the west, or I'll say the western side of Virginia, is heavily Republican. You do have a blue dot, the city of Roanoke, and you just already know that the Democrats are going to control the urban areas, okay? And the Republicans are going to control the rural or flyover country areas. So,
we would think in the Northeast, those are the people who work in D.C. and the government and live on the government teat and want the government to run every aspect of our lives.
yeah, well, for the most part, the western side of Virginia is red, but where the city of Roanoke resides is blue. You in the northeast corner, like you said, that butts up against where DC is. Not only is that blue, it's heavily blue, and then the
Yeah.
southeast corner of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, that area, that's very blue also. Okay, and and there was a little bit of red between the northeast and the southeast. Well, what happened is, uh, and the current districts were such where it the current district map was such where the Republicans had 5 districts and the Democrats had 6. But when they after they rewrite and again I got to keep saying proposed because in April it's going to be the referendum. Okay, so and if the referendum goes through in April, then you're going to have the new congressional district map, and you have uh, basically the new District 8 is going to cut north and south into the heavily blue areas, at giving them the numeric superiority, the numbers. Okay, going to have the numbers, but by cutting north and south, it's going to have the numbers to override the red in between. Okay. Plus, then when you have districts, and I'm looking at the map
It's how
here.
democracies work.
Yeah, you got District 7, and again, this is going to be on the new proposed congressional district map. District 7, 6, 5, and 4 are going to slice westward into the Republican areas, okay? But here's the problem, because they're coming from the heavily blue areas, they're going to have the numbers there. So the end result's going to be 10 Democrats and one Republican congressman for the state of Virginia. And this and it really, really, really irritates the heck out of me, given the way, and we're going to come full circle back to where how I started. I really feel like the Republicans threw on the towel
Excuse me.
in last year's governor's race. And it just, here we go. This is, what, this is what we get, I guess you could say.
Leadership, say for President Trump, is just weak. It's weak. They don't know how to lead. They don't know how to get their message out. They just stand there kicking in the dirt while the Democrats who've lost the election run the table. And I will for the life of me never understand it, other than they're only in it for themselves, Mike Johnson and Thune and the others, because otherwise it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, what especially irritated me was you had a sitting Republican governor who was term limited out, okay, and so you would think, okay, Winsome Earl Sears has a very good chance of winning, and they just gave
Well,
they just gave
we
up.
had a white woman running against a black woman in the name of diversity.
Yeah.
So that goes to the level of idiocy that goes on in that state. I suspect you have a bunch of young white women who are in love with baby killing, and they just, like I said, I've said it 100 times before on this show. Women today want to be the whores men have always been,
and
and this is the consequence of it. They
it,
don't they don't want any accountability for what they do.
and this is the problem Pennsylvania has. This is the problem New York has. This is the problem Michigan has. This is the problem Minnesota has. Is you've got a sea of red outnumbered by pockets of blue, and it just sucks, man.
Well, the
It just
affair of
sucks.
the aforementioned young white women are easily fooled. They believe that you can get something for nothing. And as long as people are that stupid, I think we're in deep trouble.
And as I try to connect the dots here, right now I think we only got like a 2 or 3 seat majority in the House.
Yeah.
So let's just
And
say,
then you got Republicans retiring and quitting, like that skank Marjorie Taylor Greene.
yeah, and and I thought this is where you were going, but they're retiring because we're going to lose the House and it's not going to be fun
Yeah,
anymore. So let me get out
they
of here,
roll over and
you
they're
know.
they're a bunch of quitters.
And they did the same thing during the first Trump administration. If you remember, something like 45 Republican congressmen, uh, they didn't like Trump, and they got out of there, and the Democrats kind of barely took the House back then, which had me infuriated because I thought, man, if half of those Republicans had just stuck around, fought, and kept their seat, we could have maintained control of the House. You
Here's
know.
what it is. These people go to Washington because there's money to be made. So when Donald Trump comes in, starts changing things, then there's no money to be made, and they're out.
So coming back to, and we talked about this in the last couple segments, man. We we need to do what we can to keep the House. Uh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Michigan to do the same kind of nonsense. To be honest, you
Well,
know.
we got we've got the Governor Lardass up there. She's going to try to do everything she can do to ruin this state before she leaves. And then we've got her crooked cohort, Jocelyn Benson, and this bitch is as crooked as they come.
Oh, I know.
She makes Whitmer look like an amateur. So I'm sure she's. We need a deep look into Michigan's election on election day. I can tell you that. I
Well,
would anyone who's here should volunteer to be an election inspector.
that just gets me going with the whole Wayne County nonsense
Well,
and
that's where they'll do it.
and I've talked about this before. I looked at all the counties, and Wayne County was the main county that caused Rogers to lose against
And another thing that's
Slotkin. You know.
been going on there for a long time is they're fudging the census. So they keep representation on the state level that shouldn't be there.
So I've said my piece. Any further thoughts there, Mac?
Yeah, pray and pray hard,
Yeah,
and
and
hope you don't have to do things you don't want to do.
that's all I got, and we'll call this one a wrap. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.